Hard Reset, partnered by Asian Paints ViroProtect Sanitizers. मैं इस घर का पेड़दार हूँ. Castrol Active. Keep moving ahead with Castrol Active's non-stop protection.
Hello and welcome to Hard Reset. I'm Ashish Jha. The world has seen several events in the last few decades that have fractured the economies, but nothing seems to be of the magnitude of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the International Monetary Fund, the global economy is expected to shrink by over 3% in 2020. In fact, advanced economies are projected to go down by as much as 7%, and nearly all regions are going to suffer double-digit decline in trade volumes, and trade will likely fall steeper in sectors with complex value chains, of which automotive is a big part. The automotive industry in India is one of the largest in the world and contributes over 7% to the country's GDP. It is also an industry that has witnessed a sledgehammer blow due to the coronavirus. But auto giants are taking the lead and starting to work out ways in which the industry can bounce back. To discuss the impact that coronavirus has had on the auto sector and its various functions and how it is coping to ensure a strong fight back, we have a great panel of industry stalwarts. Mr. Stefan Knapp, Director of Volkswagen Passenger Cars India, Mr. Santosh Iyer, Vice President Sales and Marketing Mercedes-Benz India, and Mr. Ravi Bhatia, President and Director Jato Dynamics India. If I may start with you, Stefan, you are currently in Europe, in Austria, and several countries did not really impose a stringent lockdown and the economy was still somewhat churning. But India went from a state of normal functioning to a complete stop in barely a few days. So what was your first concern as a business leader towards this enforcement of the lockdown?
First of all, I'm more concerned about the safety and the health of the employees and of the inhabitants of a country. I think business is very important, but the health and the personal life is at the utmost importance for everybody. Yeah? So I think the government in India took decisive steps, knowing that the situation in a very dense country in terms of population has to be potentially handled differently. Obviously, I think the complete shutdown, what happened, has somehow really turbulent the supply chains. So we are really struggling at the moment to get everything running again because of what a hard stop, obviously. And even things like drivers, for instance, for our trucks, to dispatch our vehicles were a scarce resource. So the complete, very radical shutdown obviously presented issues for us as OEM in order to get our supply chains working again.
In fact, Santosh, Stefan rightly pointed out a very crucial point over here, that of logistics and the transportation, which essentially is a spine of any industry. How was Mercedes-Benz India affected? Because you would have had a lot of cars which were in transit. And how did Mercedes-Benz manage this because of the lockdown?
Yeah, I think as Stefan mentioned, this was a given. The moment we had cases in India, we were anticipating a lockdown. And in fact, as far as Mercedes-Benz India goes, we were the first to shut down even before 23rd. In fact, around 17th of March, we closed down our operations to protect our employees' health and safety. Having said that, there was a lot of disruption, which we have seen now. And particularly also in the kits, we are a CKD market, so we get kits also from different parts of the world. So they were affected, the spare part operations, the logistics supply chain was affected. What really a bit took us by surprise now is the subsequent lockdowns, because I think it was very important for the phase one for the health infrastructure also to be in place. But now, for example, Pune today right now is under lockdown for the next 10 days time. This is something which we didn't anticipate. But yes, this is all part of this pandemic. And I think we are here to support the government in their endeavors to control this. But maybe we need to also see how can we manage business at the same point of time, try to handle this grave situation that the country is facing.
In fact, Ravi, very pertinent point from Santosh over here about the supply chain, which is essential to a well-oiled operation. And with that in distress, especially because of the equation with China as well becoming worse and restrictions coming in place, what is the ground reality when it comes to suppliers and manufacturers?
Over last 10 years, the automotive industry went out in a big way to gain efficiencies and scale, globalization was the strategy which was selected by everybody. With the COVID-19, the first casualty was the supply chains. So OEMs, as you know, that a car cannot be built even if one component is missing. So the shutting down of supply chain at this scale is unprecedented. I have to really compliment my co-panelists on the admirable job that they have been doing to keep the machines working. But there is a lot of pressure, and this is unprecedented because we have never seen a supply shock and a demand shock coming together. So on one hand, there is a huge demand shock because people are in isolation, they are locked down, they are keeping themselves away from the market or the streets. On the other hand, there is a supply chain shock. We have seen in the past one or the other coming at one time, but this is really big for the industry.
Absolutely. And Stephen, I'll come back to you. And as Santosh rightly said, the factory spurred back into life, but the fear of the virus still hovers around us. And I want to know from you what measures are being taken on the production lines, especially as social distancing is absolutely necessary now.
Oh, there are multiple measures being taken on. So it's a 360 approach. Yeah, it's from kind of getting the people to the plant via the buses, so that you cannot put the same amount of people into the buses. You have to make sure that there's social distancing. It's from measuring the temperatures. The complete processes in the production itself have been changed in order to adhere to the social distancing norms and safety norms. We are even now going one step further in Pune, in our plant. We are going to test ourselves, our employees, to make sure that we are not affected massively. Yeah, so it's a 360 approach. It's the same what we also do with our dealer partners outside. We have sent out clear guidelines on sanitization, because the first thing what you need to make sure is that your employees safe. The second thing is, in terms of business, it's really essential that you regain some confidence of your customers, that they come out and that they go to your places, to the dealership in order to look at. Yeah, so sanitization is definitely the word of the hour. To be very cautious, be very decisive, and also to be very strict. You know, people, and not only in India, it's all around the world, are indisciplined. That's a nature. Yeah, and we want to gather with people. But we have to be very, very disciplined in order to follow the guidelines. And that's now the task of us leaders, to make sure that the tonality is set in the right way.
Santosh, the same question to you, but especially because you've been at the factory working all the time as well when things got kind of eased off. But there is this still fear in the minds of people, right? And with the factories opening now, as you said, Pune is in a lockdown as well. How, when you restart the factories, what exactly are the measures that you are taking to ensure the safety of the employees, and what are the steps that Mercedes-Benz is employing over there?
See, firstly, this is a very dynamic situation. So if you see currently, every day the local municipal corporation comes up with a list of containment zones. We have developed, internal communication tools where around 3:30 to 4, this containment zone, the latest updated one, is circulated among employees. Our transport department gets it. The routes are again changed because we don't want our employees to also to come from them. At the same time, the pickup points get changed. So that starts from the morning, right from the pickup. And then, of course, when they come inside the factory, there are clear protocols. What's more important is adherence to the protocols. And here, I think every member of the leadership team walks. It's just for this interview, I've taken out my mask. Otherwise, we are just there. And that also in a cabin where there is nobody else. But otherwise, absolutely, it's quite strict. The way we do canteen, for example, in tables which used to have 4 people sitting, now we just have 2. We ensure social distancing there. And primarily, we have now learned that we can work from home. So it's only staff which needs to produce cars which comes to our factory in Chakan. Otherwise, many of the white-collar teams or many of the other staffs, we are all able to manage this from our home, from our residences. And we keep coming to office maybe on shifts. One week, team A comes, the next week the team B comes in. And that also helps people to take time off and also to ensure that there are not many people in the premises as such.
It's actually very heartening to know, both from Stephen and you, that it all starts right at the gates itself. In fact, the picking up of the employees as well is being taken care of. Ravi, I'll come to you and deviate a little bit over here and talk about the automotive industry, which was already suffering from a slowdown for almost about a couple of years. And now that the COVID-19 has hit, it has made matters worse. What are your projections for not just the recovery, but of a strong growth? Do we see signs of it in 2021, maybe around the festival season, or will we gain thrust only after the budget in 2022?
Okay, the big thing is that the scenario still is unfolding, and no one can say with a lot of certainty as to how the rollout of pandemic will happen. The way the curve is expanding, it only looks like the first wave has a long distance to go yet. So in this situation, what we are seeing is some good signs happening at the lower end of the market, where customers who have to move for the economic reasons, like to go for a job, to go for a business, or to do their own business, they are looking for transportation solutions which are away from the public transport option which they were used to taking. So we have clearly started seeing some good things happening in the two-wheeler industry. We have started seeing good things at the lower end of the car market and also on the used car market. So all these three are showing some signs of the revival. Last month was particularly interesting that it almost was minus 47%. And if you see the registrations this month, they're trending at minus 21%. So that's quite a lot of recovery. But whether this is a sustainable recovery or will it peter out, challenged by the COVID, remains to be seen. On the forecast front, we are really saying that nothing before the first quarter of 2021 can be given an optimistic light. We are expecting this financial year to be minus 26 to 28%.
And Stephen, a very nice point that was brought up by Ravi over here about used cars. And in this time when a lot of people have either suffered job losses or their salaries have been negatively impacted, it must have caused customers to rethink their purchases and if not postpone a new car sale, go down a segment or two, or probably even consider buying a used car. How have you seen these kind of things panning out with Volkswagen?
Sure. What we do is obviously we look a little bit around the world, how the different regions are reacting after the pandemic has gone away. And kind of a prototype for us is China. Yeah? And what we have clearly seen there is that individual mobility has seen a huge growth. Yeah? So people really want to refrain from using public transportation. They want to be in their own car, or if they can't afford more, in the two-wheeler. So, and what has really happened there is that the used car market has gone really, really strong. And that's exactly what we also see. We have decided to go 360 on the used car front, from a digitized platform over to ramping up capabilities in the dealerships of sourcing vehicles, because we believe that exactly what you said is happening, that people, they are still very much interested in individual mobility, but their budgets are going to be reduced. Yeah, so there will be an interest into used cars, and we see it already. We usually sold around in a ratio of 15% of our new car sales in used cars. Last month, we sold the same amount of used cars than new cars. So there is really a trend versus used car, and also all the forecasts are that next year we will see 2021 around 6 million used cars in the country.
I have to say that the Polo now, the TSI especially, has been made even more accessible for a larger potential customers or a larger pie of consumers because of the manual gearbox. And I, for one, cannot wait to drive it. I'll go to Santosh. Santosh, over here, Stefan had also mentioned something very interesting, that is the digitization of the platforms, or rather the buying experience. Mercedes-Benz, of course, has, I think you work on the Roadster platform, which is a globally acclaimed digital platform. How has been the reception of the consumers, or rather the experience of the consumers on the platform?
I think from a digitalization perspective, sometimes we also look at crisis as an opportunity. And frankly, right now, the acceleration of digital adoption is at its all-time peak. And we can see that the way we are conducting this interview, or, the way we are doing work, And I think we were already, last October, we already announced our initiative of doing e-commerce. And then I had many journalists and consumers asking us, will people buy cars online? And our answer, we were quite convinced. We in fact put a number that in the next 4 to 5 years time, our aim is 25% of sales to happen purely online. Then we started with our new car, the used car platform. This was somewhere in Jan and Feb, and we started selling cars on used cars with a very good amount of traction that we saw from consumers. And then the moment the lockdown happened, this was the time for us to accelerate even new cars on this platform. Even last month, close to 10 to 12% of our sales have all happened online. And when we say online, it is booking online and came online, booked online. So it's not offline to online booking or online to offline booking. It's pure online sales, and that's something quite heartening. Just also a comment on the demand side, because see, we are in the mobility space. All of us, we are selling mobility solutions. And when there is a situation like lockdown or when there is a pandemic, the mobility is coming down. And, all of us are at home or workplaces. We don't travel much. And that will, of course, have a direct impact on the demand side. Which apart from the economic shock, because I think there is also an economic impact because of the business coming down, we also see the total usage pattern being there. But now with the entire business opening up slowly, we see consumers coming back. We have close to 8,000 odd inquiries last month on our platforms wanting to buy luxury cars. And here again, we see a very different phenomena. The top end, which is basically above 1 crore, we don't see that segment shrinking. There are consumers that are gutsy. They just want to enjoy, the pleasure of driving these cars, and they're going for it. Whereas, of course, the below 1 crore segment, we see cancellations. We see some people shifting downwards to used cars, and the used car sales have also gone up in our own case also.
So I'll now go from one technology, that is digitization, to another one, which is automotive technology. How do you envision the electric revolution in the passenger cars going forward?
We bought the Euro 6 or the BS6 in India way back in 2018. We didn't wait for the regulations to change. We said, of course, there was a mandate by the government, but we were one of the first to introduce the BS6 cars, and that really helped us. So similarly, even in the electric space, we are fully committed. The supply chain has been impacted, and that is something which is causing delays in our introduction of our EQC. But we stand committed as we speak to introduce the car as soon as possible. On the other hand, yes, we have to take care of our conventional IC engines, for which we are launching new cars, and that's what something excites the automotive market also. So we stand committed with the new launches, but all these launches have got impacted more so from the supply chain side, and we are trying to get them as early as possible. But we see delays by a month or so in all these launches, be it IC engine cars or even electric cars.
I'm going to put the same question to Stefan. Volkswagen is a global player, and there is a huge amount of investment that the company has made in the electric mobility space. But what do you see in the electric mobility space for India from Volkswagen's perspective?
You're fully right. I think if one company is working very hard on electric mobility, then it's Volkswagen. We have our own platform, MEB. We are just in the process of launching the ID.3 in the world. And we believe that in 2050, we as a company will be CO2 neutral. So we are clearly committed with this technology. When it comes to India, I think we have to look this into phases. Currently, I think you have to focus on affordable mobility, individual mobility. Yeah, and this is from a business case point of view for the customer still predominantly an ICU solution. So a nice TSI engine combination will be very difficult to beat with an electric solution. Yeah. On top of it, in contrast, for instance, to Germany, which has given incentives mainly on electric vehicles and even an investment program on further infrastructure, this is at the moment not affordable in India for the government. So I think from our point of view, we will focus definitely on our very efficient petrol technology, which we are offering currently. At the same time, we obviously have to work for the future and to see also our potentials to launch this technology here in India pretty soon.
Ravi, one question to you over here, and this is not regarding any of the operational issues that the industry is facing, but more from an investment point of view. India's biggest car company, of course, had committed about 800 crore to support its dealers Any word on how other manufacturers are helping their network partners cope during this time?
We have seen a very strong degree of commitment from OEMs to their network partners. There is obviously pressure on the system, but network is a very valuable asset, and we are seeing good initiatives from various companies to support their network. The challenges at the dealerships are quite big. Clearly, dealerships are interested in retaining their manpower. They are interested in making sure that they have the stock of the cars that the customers want. So all this is providing a challenge in a way to dealerships. But OEMs have not let down the dealerships is what we hear from various dealer partners that we speak to.
I think our apex bodies, SIAM, ACMA and FADA, had released a joint statement that said the automotive industry is going to lose to the tune of 126,000 crore rupees. What level of losses have we already seen or expect to see by the end of 2020 maybe? And secondly, the workforce, especially contracted with the smaller suppliers, would have migrated back to their places of origin. How are these SMEs going to manage?
I was speaking to one SME, and not necessarily in the automotive industry. I think the biggest challenge the SMEs have is to get the manpower. So SMEs are not really overstaffed. They cannot do good scheduling the way a large corporation can do. So they are definitely getting, their operations of production are getting impacted. Their operations of customer support are getting impacted. And I count dealership operations in that. So on one hand, you have the supply chain getting impacted for the dealership. On the other hand, you have financial pressure. Although the government schemes have come in handy, but I think it's not enough yet. So we see a lot of challenges for the SME operations, especially. And in this industry, it will be the tier 2 and 3 vendors as well as the dealerships.
Now we are kind of coming to the close. I'll start with Stefan. The financial year 2020 was already quite rough for India, and we battled many issues along with a weak domestic consumption. There were signs that we would start getting momentum towards the second quarter of 2021, but now with the COVID situation, how do you see the economy and the industry in general faring, and what would be the estimated recovery time?
Well, we believe that we come to some form of stable demand in the festive season. We are a little bit more positive than what Ravi was said in the beginning. We believe that this is coming faster back. So we see, we went down by 100% in April, then 85%, then 43%. And like he was mentioning, the registrations are tracking at around minus 21%. So the industry is coming much faster back. So I also assume that the economy is faster coming back than we expect, because India, and perhaps I can praise there the Indian culture, and I lived on almost all continents in my life. The stress resistance of Indian people is just amazing. It's uncomparable to around the world, I have to say. And that gives them kind of a balance, and also the base that the customer sentiments that the really coming back into life is coming faster back. The only challenge, obviously, for me, and Santosh has mentioned it, is this current instability. These multiple lockdowns in various cities, from Bangalore to Hubli suddenly, that is very difficult, because that brings a very big instability and moves the customer really in a lot of insecurity. Everything based on trust and confidence at the end of the day. And if you see these erratic movements now happening, for good reasons, I'm not saying this is all bad, but this is very difficult for the business, because what we need is definitely to come back in stability. Stability is the key for business. When you're talking policy, if you're talking environmental issues and all that stuff, we have to have a stable environment in order to come back. But in principle, I'm a sales guy. I'm very, very positive. I think India will be one of the big stars in the next 10 years. I think this crisis is even giving India a huge opportunity when it comes to supply chains, to vendors, to things like this, because we will definitely see that a lot is moving out of China into other regions, and India is bound to be one of those, because we have to diversify our supply chains. Right. That's a clear learning out of this pandemic.
Completely. And Santosh, just a couple of words on this. How do you see this happening?
See, we are currently cautiously optimistic, you can say, with the future projections. frankly, from a market perspective, there is a latent demand. 3 to 4 months time, consumers have not bought cars, and now when the market opens up, some kind of demand should come back, irrespective of the economic scenarios that will be emerging. Having said that, as Stefan also rightly mentioned, stability is the key. If we have such frequent lockdowns or if there is no clarity, then there are challenges. And that's where I think the government also realizes it. They also are working under compulsions right now. But with these, when you look at other markets, even emerging markets, say Brazil or even many of the other markets, they are all fighting the pandemic on one hand, and we can see the sales also happening for cars and even for other products. Even Southeast Asia has shown a very good resurgence when it comes to car sales. When you look at the global indicators, when you look at India and when you look at consumer durables, for example, they are all showing a positive trend. So somewhere during festive period, we feel the demand should come back at least very close to last year levels. And from there on, we should see how we progress for the next couple of years' time. But for sure, we are invested here, heavily invested in Pune, and we see a future in the long-term story for India.
Right. And I must say that it is very heartening to see the automotive industry stepping up and supporting the medical executives by manufacturing medical equipment. On this very nice and bright note, I'm going to conclude this. Thank you very much. This has been an absolutely incredible exchange of very pertinent views. And I thank all of you very, very much for spending the time with us and sharing your thoughts. So while we all acknowledge that the impact of the coronavirus on the automotive industry has been quite devastating, there is still great hope as the industry itself is stepping up and devising newer and unique ways to fight the downward spiral and come out as a valiant victor. A good monsoon is also going to play a pivotal role in jump-starting the economy. All we can do is hope that the virus is contained and things get rolling in an efficient way to turn the wheels of economy and organizational profitability. That is a wrap on this episode of Hard Reset. Thank you for watching.
Hard Reset, partnered by Asian Paints ViroProtect Sanitizers. मैं इस घर का पहरेदार हूँ. Castrol Active. Keep moving ahead with Castrol Active's non-stop protection.